let me ask about the connection between activism and the academy for you, because clearly that has been a tension that you have felt and written about and lived. That is how to be an activist in the academy. Can you tell us a little bit about that tension for you?
Yeah. I guess I find that actually it's that tension that propels me forward, and that's just this constant questioning of what I'm doing here, what I'm contributing to when I'm in the academy, is what makes me always kind of like seek ways to fulfill what I see as like a responsibility and an ethic to like social change and justice in the community. And I'm lucky to be, I mean, my research project with Nicola, it was my own kind of reflexive, like thinking about my process and thinking about ideas of like objectivity and subjectivity and how or when politics should enter my project, going through that process and being like, it's always a political project, you know. It's just where we want those commitments to lie, or whether we want to witness them. So that became, through Michelle's work, that became framed as a social justice like activist project for me. So that was my beginning, and then I was able to come here into this program where many people do activism as well as scholarship. And so I see them just very, very, very much as informing each other. Always informing each other. Yeah.
And you're also, I mean, simultaneously as you're combining scholarship and activism, you're also involved in many different forms of activism. Can you talk about a few of those forms that you've been engaged with?
Well, I guess the one that what people generally have a reputation for is being involved with the New View, which is Leonor Tifa's campaign to challenge the medicalisation of sex. And more specifically, what she would understand as like female sexuality or female sexualities, and especially looking at the role of the pharmaceutical industry, but more recently the rising industry of female genital cosmetic surgeries. So I first connected, again, it was an extremely nervous meeting. I first connected with Leonor in 2008, I think 4 years ago, and they were just starting to do this project about these surgeries. And so I think her first task for me when I went to this, I was invited to their initial meeting, and she doesn't know this actually, but I was going to go with Nicola, my supervisor from New Zealand, was visiting too. I was going to go with her, and at the last minute Nicola couldn't go, and I was so intimidated by Leonor that and by the idea of going that I was just like, no, I can't go to, and I just like backed out. But then I set myself up, and I was like, I said in the email, I was like, I can't come, but assign me a task and I'll do it. And I was like, send. And he's like, go. And I sent the email, and then Leonor came back, was like, all right, here's your task, you know. And my task was to go around so I hadn't met anyone in this group yet, right? But my task was to go around all the female genital cosmetic surgeons in New York City and take photos of like scope them out for a protest and rally. So I had to like take photos from the outside of the building, see what the sidewalk was like, but also go into the reception area, kind of take photos and like take like material that they had, like promotional brochures, and note down the security and like really like and I was like
covert operation.
So I dressed in my best like Upper East Side heteronormative outfit and said that I was a medical sociology student at Columbia University, and I was really interested in how medical technologies were involved in like the liberation of women. So I kind of drew on, I knew that they used a lot of feminist discourse in their promotion of these surgeries, so I was like, oh, I'll just use that to like stroke the egos a little bit. So that was my persona, and I managed to go around and really quite like intensely document all these different offices. So then when I finally got invited, when I went to the second meeting and I actually turned up, I could contribute something. and I had all these little packs of photos with all this information, like all mapped out. And Leonor and the other people who were there were just like, whoa, who's this?
Yeah,
And so that was my like entry into the group.
yeah.
And she was just so thrilled that I did what I said I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually something I've learned quite early on in my life,
Mm-hmm.
is if you do what you say you're going to do, you know, or at least try, you know, and then keep communicating about how you're going, then people seem to really like it. It's amazing to me how much it's like kind of valued. It seems so simple and obvious.
Sometimes the simplest things
Yeah.
are the most effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my beginning of New View. So since then we've done, so that rally turned into like I made like, with the help of my roommate, these giant vulva puppets, and we did this guerrilla theatre performance outside a surgeon's office and a lot of other kind of campaigning work. And then we had this exhibition called Vulva Graphics the following year, where we exhibited a lot of local artists who did work around the vulva. To kind of show, to promote our angle. So our angle the first time was to be kind of raising critical questions around the surgeries, and our angle the second time was to be like celebrating genital diversity, you know, which for me means diversity around sexualities and bodies, right? And then the next year we had a counter conference in Vegas. And then this year the main thing I contributed to this year was I wrote and produced, with a dear friend of mine, who was directing it, a video called Dr. for JJ. Yeah, which was Privatize Those Privates, and it's a spoof video of of Dr. for JJ like training other cosmetic surgeons how to get into the business of the surgeries and